And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Friday, May 2nd. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down, there we go, a one-game slate. That's all we got today, everybody. A one-game slate coming up ahead of us. It's all we've got. But there we go. We got it up on the screen right now. I don't have a view in my normal sheet for this, so we're going to be spending our time in the data hub today, breaking down Houston and Golden State. Rockets 5.5-point dogs in Golden State, 204 total, coming off of whatever the hell we want to call Game 5 in this series. We're obviously not going to be here for very long. There's only so much we could talk about. We'll take a quick lap through DraftKings. We'll take a quick lap through FanDuel. We'll build a lineup on both, and then we're going to get out of here. So hit that like button if you can. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Oh, that's a great picture of the pup. Anyway, obviously Game 5, tough to read into. Golden State essentially punted it, more or less. And that puts us in a position where today is pretty scary. So we'll just take a quick lap through the DraftKings side and where ownership is right now. We'll take a look at the popcorn machine from Game 5, see if there's anything that we can glean from it. And then we'll just go about our business. Look, this is Game 6. There's not a lot left to squeeze out of these guys in terms of conversation. Right now, I'm just going to sort it by salary on the DraftKings side. Your most expensive player today is Steph Curry at $12K. You've got Alperen Sengun at $11.2, Jimmy Butler at $10.6, and Amin Thompson at $10K. Now, in terms of captain ownership, very clearly all going to Alperen Sengun. He is 29% owned in the captain spot. Steph and Jimmy are both around 14. And then you drop down into the single digits, whether it's Butler, Pods, Van Vliet, Buddy Hield, Jalen Green, I guess. I guess that's probably where I want to start. I want to have a quick conversation about something from Game 5. So, I want to have a conversation about the beginning of the first and second quarter. Now, look, I don't have a thought process here, but I'm intrigued. Here's what I want to know. So, Jalen Green got hurt in Game 5 while we were watching on playback. Oh, this isn't on the screen. Hold on, let me scroll up. There we go. I want to talk through this Rocket section. So Jalen Green gets hurt right here and leaves the floor. But Aaron Holiday checks in at that point in time. Now that's the same time that Amin Thompson checked out. And then when Aaron Holiday left the floor, it is Amin Thompson who comes back out there. But it's Aaron Holiday who takes the Jalen Green rotation at the start of the second quarter. So my curiosity here is, if Jalen Green doesn't get hurt right here, is Aaron Holiday still coming in at all? Because it feels like he is. Because this substitution right here, you can say is for Jalen Green. But what happens if Jalen Green doesn't get hurt? Is he coming out right here? Is he playing the whole first quarter? What is the substitution that happens? What are Jalen Green's minutes in the first half if that injury doesn't happen? I can't figure it out. So I want to look at Jalen Green quickly. So Jalen Green, last time out, he got hurt in this stretch. The game before that, game 4, we have this gap where he does come out at the end of the first quarter. So let's look at that. End of the first quarter, Jalen Green comes out. You get Alperen Şengün technically checking back in for him. Now, this is not an Aaron Holiday day, but this is where you get Jalen Green taking that big gap. Now, games 2 and 3, Jalen Green played the entire first quarter. If we look at game 3, Jalen Green essentially played the entire first quarter. If we look at game 2, Jalen Green played the entire first quarter. So, is Aaron Holiday a 2-minute guy, a 3-minute guy, a 0-minute guy? Because I don't care about the second half. At that point in time, it's just the game's over. But that little rotation there is so oddly interesting for a showdown slate. Because, like, if this was a different day, I wouldn't even acknowledge this. But if Aaron Holiday is set to play 4 minutes today, that is a rotation. That makes him a very different guy than the rest of the people on today's slate, even though he's not good. So that is something that I have my eye on for today. The rest of it, I think it's just sort of as the game goes. Like, if Dylan Brooks is having a bad game, you're just going to see more of Tari Eason or Jabari Smith. If Jalen Green's bad, you get somebody else. Like, they're going to hot swap these guys. But I am very, very curious about that minor Amen Thompson run. Why would they go with Reed Shepherd? I can't. So as I'm looking at it right now, I think it's pretty clear that Alperen Şengün is the best overall play. The usage is massive. The boards are huge. He's cheaper than Steph, but, I would argue he's pretty clearly better than Steph from a DFS point. Obviously not like a real basketball point. So Şengün pulling all that ownership is not surprising. Now, that doesn't make me like him on a showdown slate. My guess is that I'd be very light on him in a captain situation, but it's the rest of these guys where I get a little nervous. I mean, we know Steph is injured in some way. Butler's not exactly like peak physical health. Amen Thompson can't shoot. Had an exceptional game 5. What does that look like here? Jalen Green, I guess not hurt, not on the injury report, whatever. But also one of the most inefficient shot creators that exist. You feel pretty comfortable rostering pods. I think Jalen Green's really interesting in a showdown the same way that he would have been last time out. Honestly, I just kind of want to sim lineups and see where we end up. I think that's easier. So let me pull up a contest. Because I don't usually mess around with showdown during the regular season. I usually wait till playoffs. Okay, so we have... Oh, so there's no mini-max showdown? That sucks. All right, well, I'll take it for the main then. Okay, so 100K up top, so 25% to first. Marquee contest. Let's just get an idea of what the exposures look like on DraftKings. And then we'll do the same thing for FanDuel. I think that's the only really way to take a look at this. No minimax sucks. This will be playing the 4-point play. Actually, I might as well just play the real showdown. That'll be way more fun. Who am I kidding? All right, let's simulate these lineups in our simulator. I don't have to change anything, so let's let it rip. And then I'll set a couple quick filters. And I'll take my top 150 and we'll get an idea of where we stand. I need a notebook. And now I need a pen. All right, so we're going to need max FP, max own, and min own. Sweet. All right, let's find out where we're at here. Sim should be just about done. Oh. So my canned coffees weren't cold this morning. So I popped one in the freezer, tossed it in the ice tray. And I've just been waiting to drink it because when I opened it, it froze. I didn't have it in there that long, but it froze, which honestly tastes pretty awesome. A mocha cold brew, slightly frozen, is just a adult milkshake. But I forgot I still had it here, so let me get a sip of this. I have no caffeine in my body. Oh, holy shit, that's phenomenal. All right, let's filter these lineups. I'm just going to do a quick filter, and we'll see where we end up. So, projected fantasy points. The max we have is 208.8. All right, so if we have 208.8, I'm willing to go down to 187.92. So I'm going to set a filter here for fantasy points. And I'm going to make that greater than 187.92. Now, max ownership sum, 219.9. And min ownership sum, 137.4. What's up, Crispy? So I want 2089 and I want 1099. All right, I got my filters set up. So let's add another one. Ownership sum greater than or equal to 109.9. Ownership sum less than or equal to 208.9. All right, there's my filters. Now we could sort by ROI. Max dupes is in the 20s. Let's just see what we look like to start. All right, I'm going to take my top 150. Let's take a look at the exposures. We'll start on the captain side. Interestingly enough, my most exposed captain is Alperen Şengün, and he does show up with the highest sim ROI in that spot as well. Fred VanVleet, pretty similar. If I take out opponent, can I make this bigger for you guys? Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. There we go. Actually, I can make this a lot easier to see. Sometimes I forget that I can do things while I'm doing things, you know? Yeah, that is much better. There we go. All right. So yeah, I did get to Şengün, but basically neutral to the field. Now there's one more filter that I'm going to place after we look at this to see if, and I think it's going to take Şengün clean out of this top spot. But it's really a lot of neutral to the field here. Pretty close on Butler, pretty close on Steph. Here are the two ones that stand out most to me. It's Fred VanVleet in the captain spot and Podziemski in the captain spot. They're the two guys that I ended up sort of most over the field on. Definitely like VanVleet a little bit more than I like Pods there, at least based on the sim ROI. Only other guys I really got at captain were Draymond and Adams. Adams obviously is a really interesting path. Adams captain would be God, that'd be a weird lineup. What does it look like, I guess? Adams, captain, Şengün, Green, Butler, Moody, Curry. Here's the next one. I figured I could just scroll and see it quickly, but Adams, Şengün, Pods, Butler, Moody, Curry. Okay. All right, one more thing that I want to do. I'm going to take out a chunk of these dupes. Yeah, I've got a lot of room to do that. How many do I have, actually? That's a better way to think about this. All right, I got a 14 in there, a 10, a 9. I'm just going to cut it all the way. Where does that get me? If I filter dupes to be less than or equal to, let's just say 5. If I go less than or equal to 5, unfavorite and you know what? I'm going lower than that. I'm going either 2 or 1. 2, 1, or 0. There we go. Now we'll take the 150. Did it move it? Not really. A little bit more Pods. A little bit less Van Vliet. Seems like it's just going to be always neutral to Şengün. What do you guys like at captain today? Because right now I'm looking, and I think my 3 preferred really are Şengün, Pods, and Van Vliet. Adams right here is a little interesting with that negative 9% sim ROI. That stands out to me. I would probably run 2 separate sims too, but that's besides the point. Banking says he likes Draymond, but he doesn't know if he gets enough. It's okay. I mean, he's got a pretty... Let's see how he looks at the flex. So, guy I got the most at the flex was Van Vliet. Van Vliet and Looney were my 2 biggest leverage plays. Let's see, Looney. $1,200, so $200 above the min. You know, he's been playing really scattered rotations. You know, we saw Looney get 8 minutes in the blowout game. You know, he gets like scattered rotations here. 14 minutes in that one. 13 here. Now, we don't have him projected for that many minutes, but if Looney is going to get somewhere in that like 8-minute range, he's a fantastic value option today. Am I crazy? 1,200? You need so little from him. I think that's why we're seeing the sim ROI be as low as it is, too. Already have a Looney captain on FanDuel? That might be a stretch too far. Flex play, though? Yeah. I don't even really have any crazy fades. Like, little light on Şengün, little light on Curry. Oh, there's the fades. All right, I didn't see them. Way under Buddy Hield. Let's just put it to the top of the screen so it looks better. Biggest fade is Buddy Hield at 3,800. Now, that one just scares me because like they want him out there for the shooting. But the moment they know they don't have the shooting, they're gonna pull the plug if they have to. But does Buddy Hield just do his best Gary Trent impression today? I don't know. Not a ton of Amon. I'm very happy about that. I don't care what he did in the last game. It's a very different game. I don't like this spot for him at all. And then light on Jabari. Look, it's always going to be somebody. You know, if I have a little bit more Tar Eason and a little less Jabari, I can handle that. Would you go down to post off a Hield? Of course. I mean, you got Post sitting there at 3,200. If Buddy Hield's not out there for the shooting, it's probably going to be Quentin Post. I think those guys work like in tandem against each other to a degree. Steph is just a guy, like, I don't know what to say. He's expensive, but he's Steph. They could cut his thumb off and I'd still expect him to make 6 threes. Steven, so will he. What do you guys like the most from Golden State today? Like, who's the guy that you, or not necessarily Golden State or Houston? Like, who do you think is the linchpin of this game? Capuso says Van Vliet. Yeah, I mean, he has been finding the fountain of the youth the past 2 games. Moody over Hield today? I think so, yeah. Betting markets really liked Moody. When I did the projections this morning, like my first draft, I do minutes before I look at anything. I don't look at rates. I don't look at like betting lines or anything. I project the rotation to my best guess, and then I look at everything and see how it looks. And I was like 40% low on Moses Moody. Those minutes needed to go up by like 7 or 8. You know, I had him at like 18. I think I ended up at like 25 or something. So I underestimated him in my projections this morning. Man, I should grab the play-by-play data and find out like how often some of these guys are sharing the floor. I wonder how much they look at it. Say Van Vliet enough and EMAC appears. All right, let's look at some of the player stats for the postseason so far. Steph's still at 63% true shooting. Buddy Hield is 9 of 27 from 3 so far this series. He's getting good looks. Post, oddly enough, still getting good looks, but he can't buy a bucket. Quentin Post is 11 for 34 from the field in this series. His shot quality, expected 52% effective field goal percentage. His real is 43. This dude just can't buy a bucket. Now, Draymond can't buy a bucket, but he can't buy a bucket because he's not good. On offense, obviously. At scoring. I'm very interested in this, though. This section of my stands. Because I'm getting more Van Vliet and more pods at the flex, but I'm also getting more of them at the captain. So I'm guessing, yeah. Most exposed player, Fred Van Vliet. Second most, Butler. Biggest fade is Hield. Second biggest fade, Thompson. Biggest stand is Looney. Doc, it's hard for Draymond's usage to go down too much because it's already low. He's been sitting at like 14% for the past 2 weeks. So a little down, yeah. But yeah, those low numbers can only go so low. Do we want to take a look at FanDuel? I'm guessing it's going to look a little bit different. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Do we have anything bets-wise on OddsShopper right now? Might as well take a look. And I guess I should hit you guys with the schedule for the rest of the day since it's going to be pretty unique. So for today, coming up after me, 11 a.m., MLB Strategy Show with Laffy. Greg and Bellman will be live at 6 o'clock for MLB Live Before Lock. Myself and Eric are going to be live for a half hour, 8:30 to 9 o'clock tonight for NBA Live Before Lock. Obviously, we'll put the game on playback, but we are not doing a playback stream tonight at 9. Coach Chris, shooting. The answer is shooting. We do have a Dylan Brooks bet out there right now. 2 OddsShopper rating, 2.7% EV on Onyx odds. Oh! 9 OddsShopper rating, 5% EV, NoVig Jimmy Butler. Under 3.5 assists for pods on DraftKings just popped up. We got Jalen Green out there. 3.7% EV under points. Oh, yeah, that's still... No, it's up now. It's still here on DraftKings. 2 plays on DraftKings if you want them. All right, let's figure out FanDuel. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have not touched the new FanDuel single game setup yet, but not going to be all that confusing. What's the payout structure on the FanDuel contest? I'm guessing 25. No, way more. 45? 100K to first, $222,000 prize pool. Are you shitting me? It's 100K to first and 10K to second on FanDuel today? What? Man. What a dog shit payout structure. Holy hell. Yeah, well, that's gnarly. All right. Percent to first, 40%. Like, I get it. You're going to chop. You're not, like, solo showdown chippers aren't really the thing all that frequently, but my God, that's terrible. It's 45% to first. Sheesh. What a dog shit tournament. That's one of the worst I've ever seen. Yo, the idea of solo shipping second place in that contest. Oof. Charge my watch. By the way, no contenders on showdown slates. I don't have that available just yet. All right, here we go. Why is this so tiny? All right. So that's FanDuel. Let's set up the same filters. My highest fantasy points is 212. Highest ownership, well, lowest ownership, 61. Highest ownership, 162. Okay. So, 191. Min FP. $146 own. 81 owned. That's going to be an interesting window. That is narrow. All right. Projected fantasy points greater than or equal to 191. Ownership sum greater than or equal to 81. Ownership sum less than or equal to 191. We got a max of 28 dupes. Oops, I accidentally just took that by dupes. That is clearly not what I want to do. All right, top 150. And we don't have anything more than 7. I can handle that for right now. Captain exposures on FanDuel for the stupid lottery. Dead neutral on Alperen Şengün. He's 30% owned. The number 1 captain on FanDuel isn't even close. It's very clearly Fred VanVleet. He's the only guy that got a positive sim ROI. Yeah, there we go. That looks way better. Positive sim ROI. Only 6% owned in the captain spot. You know, I only got 11. I'd love to get a little bit more. But even still, he looks clearly good. Şengün looks good. Pods looks good. Look at that line in sim ROI. There is clearly a line in the sand. VanVleet, slightly positive. Şengün, pods, slightly negative. There's a giant line drawn here. There's a 9 percentage point gap in sim ROI between pods and Adams, who's next. And then it falls off a cliff. Now, you can still get these guys, for sure. My biggest fade was Amin Thompson at 15K, which I can handle. Flex side, Looney as the value option, at least as of right now. Don't get married to this. I want to get this out here right now. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I made these projections and I cross-referenced rates for now. These are all going to slowly tweak throughout the day, all the way up until 8:30 tonight. At which point, if I project Kevon Looney for 1 less minute, this could look very, very different. So don't lock yourself into any thought process just yet, because this will wiggle a bit throughout the day. Do I expect Looney to look like an interesting value option for the rest of the day? Absolutely. I don't think it's going anywhere unless we hear something about him. However, we don't want to just lock ourselves in immediately. Holy shit, you really did get that mini-max. Yo. That's how lazy I am. I could have just sent an email or a message. Good looks, man. Appreciate that hookup. I think everybody's going to be pretty happy you just did that. How many minutes was that for Looney? I legitimately don't remember. Let me look. I gave him 10.9, Doc. But like, if that becomes 10, that's a big move. As weird as it sounds. That is pretty fun. All right. I'm locked and loaded now. May make a stand on 14. Yeah, I get that. I get that for sure. I mean, if you give him 14, you're going to get him in everything. Here, let's do it. Let's do that example. That's a fun way to think about this. I'm going to do it on DraftKings because I don't give a shit about FanDuel, especially after looking at that contest structure. But let's watch this, because that's what we're talking about here. Like, it's little things. And these are the things that you would like want to do in your setup, especially on a showdown slate like this where there's one game. If you look at our data today and you think like, oh, fuck, Josh is a moron. I don't think Moses Moody plays 25 minutes. I think he plays 20. You can fix all of that in our sims, run it, and then you'll get what you want. It's a lot better than doing it via an optimizer the way that we used to do this. All right, so if I'm playing the mini-max right now, let's say I want to look at it. I want to look at this and approach it the same way Doc is. I'm going to look at Kevon Looney. I'm going to scroll down here and look and see. All right, we got him at 10.9 minutes, 0.96 fantasy points per minute, 10.5 projected points. Now, I'm not going to go to 14, Doc, because I think you're insane. But I'll give him, I'll split the difference for you. We'll take him up to 11. We'll take him up to 12. Now he's at 12.5 fantasy points. Watch what happens to the exposures of Kevon Looney from 2 minutes on a showdown slate. Remember, I 2x'd Looney before without giving him 2 more minutes. Here's how important every individual minute is on a showdown slate. It's a lot. It's a lot. When I take these top 150, the difference in Kevon Looney exposure from 2 minutes, my expectation, staggeringly different. All right, so I'm going to clear my filters, and I'm going to set them all again the exact same way. So we'll start at projected fantasy points. And we're going to say 188 minimum. And then ownership is going to be that 220. So that's going to be ownership sum greater than or equal to 110. Ownership sum less than or equal to 198. I didn't normalize it. We'll just say that that comes from somebody else. It's not going to matter. All right. Now I'll take my top 150. Take a look at exposures. Look what 2 minutes of exposure, or 2 minutes extra of Kevon Looney does. He is in 65% of my lineups, currently projected for 15% ownership. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Put Kevon Looney in 65% of my stuff. That's how little the change has to be to impact what you're doing in the simulations. We did get 2 shares of him at the captain spot, Doc. Are these lineups leaving a lot on the table? That's a good question. Most I left was 1,400. A lot of them still had 50K. Now, I would trim that, probably. We could take a look at that right now, actually. If I unfavorite and just chop down dupes a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. That'll probably give us more Looney, because it's not like he's pulling a lot of ownership. We're up to 3.3% at the captain. 63% overall. Remember, 2 minutes. We took a guy that was projected for 11 minutes, and we gave him 2 more. And now he's in 60% of our lineups. The tweaks you need to make are minimal. Minimal. 1 minute here or there will really impact what you're doing. You change 5 minutes, you change 1 minute on 5 different guys, you are going to have a much more unique player pool to yourself. Let's build some single lineups, and then we'll see where we end up. All right. Got it. Close enough. Oh, stop refreshing yourself. I'm just trying to make the damn screen fit. I'm trying here. It's killing me. We're good enough. That's close. All right, let's sort by value. Take the large contest. 35 to first. Oh, boy. Well, I'm not going, no matter how many of you are going to tell me to do Looney. All right, captain. I'm not going Şengün. I'm not going Curry or Butler. To me, it's got to be Van Vliet or Pods. I'm going to go Pods. And then I'm obviously going to take Looney. Oh, fuck me. I'm going to take Şengün, Jabari, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. 2,500 on the table. My assumption is that this lineup sucks, but I don't know. It might be too much. Yeah, way too much. Not surprised by that. We need to get that projection, which is at 190, up to like 96 or 97. Which honestly isn't going to be that difficult. If I just simply take Draymond out and put Amin Thompson in, now I'm up to 194. This will be okay. Yeah. Not surprised. Look, showdown single shots are hard, man. All right, what if I take out Butler? Go back to Amin Thompson. No, that's terrible. If I get positive, that's all that I care about on a single lineup build. I'm not even in the ballpark. Well, I'm guessing it's the Jabari issue. He appears to be the guy that's boning me the most. $197 and $218. That's just too much ownership. I'm giving up 10 points of fantasy points, but I'm eating all the ownership. I didn't think that was going to happen with Pods at captain. I'm pulling Pods from captain and I'm switching it to Van Vliet. $204 and $233. This is way too much ownership. This is hard. This is really hard. There we go. Van Vliet, Şengün, Pods, Healed, Curry, and Adams. We got to the positives. Now let's try FanDuel. Large contest, 40% to first, obviously. MVP. I'm going to go back to Pods. Then we get Şengün. I'll get the Looney value. And then I'm going to get Draymond. If I complete it, gives me Curry and Amon Thompson, 206 and 223. It's my final shot. One and done unless this is negative 100. Yeah, that's... All right, fine. I'll do one more. I just want Looney in there. So if I take out Draymond... If I go Looney post and Draymond like gets the gate, gives me Butler, Curry. It's too much on the table. Let's take Pods out of the captain and go to Butler. Let's see that one. Flip-flop Butler, Pods, captain, and utility. There it is. 90.4. Eventually, I just saw it. I'm like Beth Harmon looking at chess pieces on the ceiling. Sometimes I just coming from everywhere. One game. Warriors, Rockets, 9 p.m. start. NBA live before lock coming up at 8:30. Guys, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Laffy, an MLB strategy show coming up in about 12 minutes right here on the Stokastic YouTube channel. I'll see you guys tonight at 8:30. Good luck tonight.